Welcome to the CCCApply Noncredit Application. Noncredit Application is new. It is in production now, but it will be released to colleges and students in June 2019. The Noncredit Application is really just the standard application that's been modified and streamlined to remove questions that the non-credit student is no longer required to answer. The non-credit application itself came out of Assembly Bill 3101, which takes effect July 1st of this year, which basically said that students planning to enroll exclusively in non-credit courses is exempt or excluded from the residency determination classification. So in order to make it easy on you, the college, we've created a workflow path within your standard application for non-credit students. So the difference is less questions, less pages. We've also provided a unique URL for this path. So you'll still have your standard application URL where all of your students are going now. But for the non-credit path, we provide you a new URL that has a non-credit flag at the end that you use in any way you want. It is your responsibility to identify your non-credit students. So you can put it on your web page, you can have it in campaigns. We'll give you the unique URL for which non-credit students will start their application. Most of the rest of the features are the same as the standard app. So we're going to go through the application, look at each one of those. There will still be mandated questions, federally mandated and state mandated. Also, if it's an MIS requirement for both non-credit and standard credit students, those questions will be in there. But for the most part, it is streamlined and does not include residency or other different algorithm calculations such as AB 540 or the financial aid eligibility. So getting to the non-credit application again with your unique URL, students will land on a page identified as the non-credit application. They will sign in with their OpenCCC account or create a new OpenCCC account, depending on if they're a new student or not. So let's go there now. I've got a test application, a test college ready. I've landed on the non-credit welcome page, signing in with my existing OpenCCC account. And just like the standard application, I'm going to land on the My Applications page. So this is the same My Application page as my standard application, My Applications page. So again, we've tried to make this as simple as possible for the colleges and the students. One of the things you'll notice in mine, now some students may not have any in-progress applications yet or any submitted applications yet, but we've added an identifier to the non-credit confirmation numbers, an NC prefix that will help you identify non-credit applications as they're submitted in running reports or in your download file. To the student, they may not even notice it. That's one of the ways that we've enhanced the non-credit app so that you can identify it quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new non-credit application. Just like the standard app, the enrollment page includes the same fields, the term. So again, terms are set by the college, and these would be the same terms as your standard app. Ed goals set by MIS. Those are static responses, but the same education goal field. And then for the intended major program of study, this is one of the areas that we enhanced for the non-credit application. So what we wanted to do was give colleges the ability to have different majors or / programs of study in their non-credit application versus their standard application. This is a required field. You need to select something to move on. Our non-credit pilot colleges said they need to be different. We don't have majors. So now this is a required setup task. Colleges will go into their administrator and add the identifier for non-credit versus standard or both in the administrator. We walk you through that. We will help you do that, but it is a requirement if you want to use the non-credit application. So again, all we've done is added an application type field to the majors table, and you can use the same majors / programs in your non-credit, but you will still need to go in and add this application type. So these 3 required fields appear on both standard and non-credit. Let's go ahead and move on. So you'll notice over here on the side navigation bar, there's some pages that are missing. Again, part of the simplification of this path from the standard app, we've removed pages that only pertain to residency, such as the residency page, the military and citizenship page. We've also consolidated some pages, the review application and the consent to release. So it's a much shorter, more simple application, both for standard and for non-credit. But the account information page also appears in the non-credit. We want to make sure that the student's account information is up to date and accurate. If the student needs to edit any of their OpenCCC account information, they can do so through this edit button. And we also want to make sure that their current mailing address is up to date. So if my current mailing address is the same as my permanent address in my OpenCCC account, I can check that box and quickly move on. If it's different, then the student has the opportunity to update their current mailing here. The education page is the same as the standard application. One main difference is in the standard application, the high school transcript information, otherwise known as the self-reported multiple measures questions, have been removed. So they do not appear in the non-credit application. That was a decision from the Chancellor's office. If that needs to change, we'll change that in the future, but this first iteration will not have the multiple measures questions. So we'll answer the same required fields, and I'm just going to take the happy path here and go through the education page and continue. Next page is the needs and interest. This page is largely optional, and students can skip many of these questions, but for now these are included. And notice that some of my previously submitted responses from a previously submitted application are auto-populating in. We have enhanced auto-population for the non-credit, so any previously submitted response that applies will be auto-populated in the non-credit application. Demographic information, see, we're almost done. Again, state, federal fields questions will be asked. The AB 620 questions, which are the transgender, the LGBTQ questions, do appear for students who are 18 years and older. Otherwise, they do not appear. Parent guardian education levels, these have auto-populated from a previous submitted application. And race and ethnicity, again, iPads required reporting. We get to the last page, the submission page. I mentioned earlier that we removed the review your application requirement page, and we didn't want to remove it completely from the application, so we zipped it up, put it at the top of the submission page. So we still encourage students to review their responses. They can review them or not. They can save them as a PDF here, but they can review their responses before they hit submit and then hide that section again. We also removed the consent to release information and added it to this page as well. And part of the simplification effort, this is a required response to consent to release the student's information to the college and the California Community College's Chancellor's Office. And then the submit your application requirement. And this does include that electronic signature. So under penalty of perjury, the student is declaring that their information is accurate and correct. So before I hit submit, let's take a look at a couple other things. So again, resuming an application is simple. I can pause this application right before hitting submit. I can pause this application and either sign out or go back to my applications. And then that application will appear in my applications in progress table. From there, it usually defaults to chronologically, it'll be the last one at the table. And you can see that there's my NC indicator, the prefix on my confirmation number. I can resume that application at any time. Let's resume, and then I can submit from there. Post-submission processes are the same as the standard application. Student will still see the confirmation page or screen similar to this, which highlights and summarizes their name, their CCC ID, what college they just applied to, the term, the submission date and time, and then that confirmation number again with the prefix. One of the things that you may not be aware of is that students actually have the opportunity to provide feedback after the standard application and now after the non-credit application. So there is a student satisfaction survey. Once you get through that confirmation page and click continue, and land on the application survey, there's only 3 questions that are asked. Rate your experience going through the application. Would you recommend this application to other students? And then a text box to provide comments, any comments. So wanted to point this out, colleges can run reports in the report center on this information. And we highly encourage you to do that every so often and review the feedback that the students are giving you, send it to us or take it to heart. So we've got that student satisfaction survey. And then finally, the special links and opportunities. Now, if you happen to be a college that is integrated and have adopted MyPath, Student Services Portal, much of the special links and opportunities will be part of that post-application matriculation process. If you're not, if you have not adopted MyPath, the non-credit student will see the special links and opportunities page. Much of these links are mandated by state or system-wide requirements. And then sign out and finish. So again, the non-credit application is very similar to the standard app. A couple differences. There's 2 new fields that were added specifically for the non-credit application, and they're both optional. One is called non-credit, and it's basically a flag for the college that says, hey, this student applied through the non-credit URL. So they came into the application process through the non-credit URL, they submitted their app, it doesn't have residency determination, but this field can be added to your downloads. If they do come in through that URL, that field will be set to true. Otherwise, it'll default to false. So it's just for you to help you identify non-credit applications. The other field, the Integrity Flag 81 field, another optional field. This is, most of our integrity flags pertain to residency. and they're specifically for admissions and record staff to help them understand why a student got a specific residency status. So mostly, again, it would pertain to the standard application, but we added an integrity flag for admissions and records as another way to identify why is there no residency status. Oh, they're a non-credit student. They came in through the non-credit URL and submitted a non-credit application. So these are optional fields for you to add. If you don't add them to your download, you can still run reports on them in the report center. Changed fields. So most of the other changes to data revolve around the residency and the other hidden questions. So for example, we've hidden, the residency page, the citizenship page, military page. So there's a lot of questions that would normally show up on your downloads with a value, but since they're hidden in the non-credit app, you will see a lot of nulls or blanks. So most of the rest of the data-oriented implementation tasks for setting up the non-credit app is really just awareness, being aware that there are going to be blanks, there are going to be null values in your downloads. We also added a couple values to the residency status fields. So not all the residency questions that we hid, but behind the standard application, there is a residency algorithm. It has 4 areas that are calculated separately. A is citizenship, B is the California residency, stay in intent, C is military information, and D is special residency. So each one of those little areas gets calculated with a value, and then all 4 area statuses are calculated to make up the overall residency status value. Residency status has 3 values if you're using the standard app. You got 1, which is a resident, 2, which is a possible resident, 3, which is a non-resident. So for non-credit, we added an N for exempt. So in the residency status field, which is used often by the standard application, you'll see an N if the student submitted a non-credit application. Sorry, the 9 comes in for each one of those 4 area mini calculations. So those values were added. You don't have to change your downloads in any way, but being aware that those will be the values that are downloaded for a non-credit application. The other admin configuration reporting, again, leverages the same tools and services as the standard application. You'll use the same CCCApply administrator, where you'll set up terms, which are the same. We talked about those. Majors, which there is a required setup, which we'll help you with. You can set up email and error message rules in the administrator for non-credit specific triggers and fields. The spam filter, non-credit applications also go through the spam filter, just like the standard application. So there will be processing. If some non-credit fraud hits your college, they will get suspended in the spam filter, just like the standard applications. And then the reset downloads utility, just like the standard. So it's basically the standard application with some minor streamlining. Report center, the same reports can be run. Your same user accounts can be run. We will create non-credit specific public templates that you can use. And then again, some of those new fields, the non-credit field and the integrity flag 81, can be added to any report. You could build an ad hoc report around those. You can also schedule reports to be run and emailed, just like the standard app. The data downloads, Most colleges are still using the download client with the download XML files. Again, you won't have to touch those unless you want to add those 2 new fields to your download file. Superglue for CCCApply, they will include the new non-credit fields as part of the data set going to the staging table. And then just a couple new features that we added in fall 2018. Some of these may not apply to Standard App, but we wanted to make sure you knew about the web service, the spam filter web service, and that more features are coming soon. College support and implementation for the non-credit application. So the Enabling Service Division of the CCC Tech Center will be supporting colleges. Please contact crms@ccctechcenter.org to set up an implementation kickoff call. They will help you if you want to implement the superglue for Apply, for the Standard App and the non-credit. They'll help you add new fields to your download file. So anything you need from an implementation perspective, please contact Enabling Services. And then for post-implementation support, you're already live, you're using the non-credit application, please contact our support services. So the online website for support is ccctechnology.info. And then the email going directly to college support staff is staffsupport@openccc.zendesk.com. Thank you for joining me today. Have a nice day.